In 2026, Amazon's warehouse system can fire a worker automatically with zero human involvement. No conversation, no warning meeting. The algorithm clocks your productivity score, sees it dip below threshold, and generates a termination notice. Done. And before you say that's just warehouse stuff, stay with me, because number 3 on this list is going to hit a lot closer to home than a fulfillment center. Look, we've all heard the big, scary AI will take your job headline, but that's not quite the full picture. What's actually happening is quieter, and honestly, weirder. AI isn't just replacing jobs, it's becoming the manager. It decides who gets hired, who gets watched, who gets promoted, and yeah, who gets the boot. Here are the 7 ways that's already playing out. So picture this. Sarah spends 3 weeks perfecting her resume, tailors it, gets a friend to proofread it, hits send, and it gets rejected in 4 seconds. Not by a person, by a piece of software that never even read it the way you'd read something. These are called Applicant Tracking Systems, ATS, and by 2026, AI adoption in HR has jumped from 26% to 43% in just a couple of years. Nearly half of all hiring pipelines now have an algorithm at the front door. The wild part? Some of these systems reject candidates because of font choices, or because the resume was designed in Canva and the columns can't be parsed. Your qualifications never even register. The EU's AI Act, which kicks in fully in August 2026, now classifies these tools as high risk and requires bias testing and transparency. But until those rules actually bite, the machine keeps screening. And that's just getting in the door. Once you're hired, the watching begins. You're at your desk. You've had a solid morning. You think you're doing fine. But somewhere in a dashboard you've never seen, your productivity score just dropped 3 points because you didn't respond to a Slack message within 8 minutes. This isn't hypothetical. By 2026, 61% of U.S. companies are using AI-powered analytics to actively measure employee productivity and behavior, not just remote workers, in-office too. One tech worker in a documented case described it as feeling like I have a heartbeat monitor strapped to my career, every idle moment logged, every pattern analyzed, and 46% of employers admit they've used this monitoring data directly in termination decisions. That's not surveillance as a side effect. That's the point. And the system that watches you, it can also fire you. Amazon's system, and this has been documented, tracks what it calls time off task, the minutes you're not actively picking, scanning, or moving. Let that number climb high enough, and the system auto-generates a termination notice. HR finds out after the fact. There's no conversation, no performance review, no, hey, you've been struggling lately. The algorithm runs the numbers, crosses a threshold, and executes. A researcher who studied this called it an electronic whip. And it's not just Amazon. At call centers, AI systems grade every single call worker's handle. Fail to follow the script closely enough, get a failing score. Too many failing scores, and the system escalates, sometimes all the way to termination, without a manager ever making a conscious decision. The algorithm doesn't just fire you, though. It also decides if you ever move up. So you've survived the hiring filter, you're managing your productivity score, and you want a promotion. Guess who's evaluating that too? AI systems now analyze performance data, peer feedback, project outcomes, and communication patterns to recommend or not recommend candidates for advancement. And here's where the blind spots get real. These systems are trained on historical data, which means they often encode the patterns of whoever got promoted before. Older promotion patterns that may have systematically favored certain groups. PwC's 2025 Global AI Jobs Barometer found that workers with AI skills now earn wage premiums up to 56% higher than peers doing equivalent work. So the algorithm also rewards the people who know how to speak its language. The feedback loop is real. But this isn't just about your individual job. It's about entire industries shifting underneath you at once. UPS, 78,000 jobs, gone or going by end of 2026. That's not a typo. 48,000 in 2025, another 30,000 this year. And the driver isn't just business is bad. The driver is that AI-powered logistics and automation are making those human roles structurally unnecessary. Deloitte reported that 2026 is the year AI agents moved from pilot programs to full production, specifically to optimize cost-to-serve metrics in real time. Translation: the algorithm is constantly calculating whether your role is worth its cost, and it's doing that 24 hours a day. This is what makes algorithmic management different from every previous automation wave. It's not just replacing tasks, it's replacing the judgment layer, the middle management decisions that used to require a human to say, this team is overstaffed or this location isn't viable. Now, a system runs that analysis continuously, and humans respond to its output, rather than forming their own independent views. Now, if you think working remotely keeps you a bit safer from all this, number 2 is going to fix that thinking pretty quickly. Here's the thing about remote work. You're not less visible to your employer, you're more visible, because the only way the company can see you is through software, and they've built a lot of software. Companies in 2026 are running tools that analyze your facial expressions during video calls, your keystroke cadence, mouse movement, screenshot intervals, and even your vocal tone on work calls. Stress markers, hesitation patterns. A Gartner survey found over 70% of large employers now use some form of digital monitoring on remote workers, and the workers under highest surveillance report stress levels 17 points higher than those in low monitoring environments. That stress shows up in their scores, which triggers more monitoring, round and round. And that data, all of it, is feeding upward into one system, a system that's already making predictions about your future, which brings us to number 1. This is the one that really messes with your head. AI systems at major companies are now running what's called flight risk prediction. They analyze your behavior, how often you're updating your LinkedIn, how your email tone has shifted lately, whether you're taking more sick days, whether your internal messaging has slowed down, and they assign you a probability score for leaving. And then, without telling you, HR gets that alert and quietly intervenes. You get a retention call framed as a casual check-in. A new project lands in your lap. A small raise shows up. All because the system flagged you as a flight risk, not because a manager sat back and thought, they seem off lately. Manpower Group's 2026 Global Talent Barometer found that 64% of workers are now what analysts call job hugging, staying put not because they're satisfied, but because stability feels safer than the unknown. And part of that is the system working exactly as designed. The surveillance creates a kind of freeze response. People don't leave, they wait. So, is all of this doom? Not entirely. Workers with AI skills are commanding 56% higher wages than peers doing equivalent work. The companies building these systems are hiring at record pace. 49,000 AI and machine learning jobs open in the US right now, up 163% year over year. The game has genuinely changed. The question is whether you're learning the new rules or about to find out the hard way what happens when you don't. So here's where this leaves you. The algorithm is already in your workplace, probably in ways you haven't fully clocked yet. The move isn't to panic, it's to understand the system well enough that you can navigate it, and ideally stay ahead of it. Know what's being measured, build the skills the system actually rewards, and understand the rules of the new game, because pretending they don't exist is the most expensive thing you can do right now. If there's one number from this video that stuck with you, drop it in the comments. I want to know which one actually hit different.